Welcome, welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert, and today we have the amazing Dorothy Villeneuve. Welcome, Dorothy.
Hello. So happy to be here. Thank you for having me, Gull.
Thank you for coming and being a guest today, Dorothy. Dorothy, everyone's heard your intro. They know how amazing you are. But please, in your own words, tell everybody what it is that you do.
Sure. So I'm a sales and marketing consultant. I help online six-figure women entrepreneurs to zero in on their zone of brilliance, simplify and increase their sales, and finally get all their fancy funnels and copywriting written and done, even if they dread tech or they feel scattered in their business.
Oh, fantastic. So, Dorothy, talk us through, how did you end up being a marketing expert? I mean, what's your journey? Talk us through your journey.
I came by it naturally, but I wasn't aware of what was going on as I slowly progressed into this being my thing. When I first started, basically a few years before, I would say about 5 years before I left my corporate job, I discovered coaching.
Mm.
A CEO that I had for a company that I worked for actually got let go because of insider trading.
Mm.
And when that happens, the Securities and Exchange Commission releases a statement, and they basically outlined everything that happened and what they would provide for him as a company. So the company had mentioned that in order for him to get a new job, because this was obviously a bit of a black mark on his resume, let's say,
Mm.
that they would provide coaching and they would provide executive coaching until he found a new job. And I remember just staring at that while I was sitting at my computer and thinking, what the heck is coaching? What are you
Mm.
talking about? Because coaching had only been to me basically a term that was used for sports, right?
Mm. Yeah.
So I just stared at it, I read it, I started looking into it, and that sparked my curiosity because I'd always wanted to be a consultant, but I
Mm.
didn't have the confidence. I had imposter syndrome, and I figured I couldn't do it, right? I
Yeah.
didn't have the experience.
You're
So
not good
lo and
enough to do it.
behold,
Yeah, I know that.
yeah, yeah.
And imposter syndrome is one thing that comes and bites everyone's backside. You know, from the biggest athlete to the mom who thinks, "Am I good enough, mom?" So yeah, we all have our fair share of imposter syndrome. But carry on.
Yeah, and it comes back
Oh
over
yeah,
and
oh yeah. It
over
does. It
in
does. You
different
can't
ways.
get rid of it. It goes away and then it comes back. It's like a bad rash. It keeps coming back.
Yeah. New level, new devil.
Mm.
Anyway, so fast forward a couple years, and I was working as a manufacturer's rep for Snap-on Tools. I was in industrial B2B. I had been working in sales since I was about 16 years old and had no idea that I was an expert in it. I was always wondering, when someone was going to catch me out and decide that probably I wasn't qualified to be doing the jobs that I was doing. So I was running a big territory in my province, which is basically from Toronto to Thunder Bay in Northern Ontario in Canada. And I remember I got pregnant. I got really excited. It was super great. I took my mat leave with full intention of going back to work in 6 months. And at about 6 months, with the baby on my hip, kind of staring off into the abyss, thinking, I can't travel for 3 weeks of the month away from this baby. My husband
Mm.
works shift work. It's not going to be possible. So I was looking for a solution, and coaching came back. I thought, I wonder if I could make the leap and do this now. So I invested in a super high figure, like my first coaching course is not the program that most people invest in.
Mm.
It was a high pressure sales call. I was told I had to buy before I could even talk to my husband and that it was now or never. And I ended up investing. And it's funny because that's not like my sales style. But what I thought was that I wanted to run away from sales, that I wanted to do something else because I've
Mm.
been playing with different things. So I was trying to be a personal trainer. I was coaching people on the side that way and thought that that might be what I do. So my initial foray was health and fitness coach. I thought for sure that's what I was going to be doing. And inside that program, there ended up being just hordes of women who couldn't figure out how to market what they had, sell
Mm.
what they had, understand their unique value, that sort of thing. So it started to become very apparent to me after having several side calls with these people and helping them with their sales that probably that's what I should do. And then eventually, one of the coaching calls with my coach in a group coaching call, she called me out and said, why are you trying to be a health coach? Why are you doing this? And I was
Mm.
like, because that's what I think I'm supposed to do. And she's like, yeah, no. She's like, I've heard about you. I know what's going on. You're coaching clients and you're talking to them about sales and you're helping them with their marketing. Why don't you be a sales coach? And I was like, I could do that? And so that's what I ended up starting doing. And I stuck with coaching for a long, long time. I only coached. But what I quickly learned was basically when I'm coaching clients, I love the coaching process. I love those powerful questions and the intrigue and the interest and things like that, and helping people come to their own ideas and their own conclusion. That was amazing to me. But what would happen was the following week, the client would come back and their life got busy and they didn't get things done.
Mm.
And we started again the next week. So that's when I pivoted to consulting. And the work that I do is done with you consulting. So when there's times when you're launching or when there's times when you need to get an email nurture sequence built up, I'm the sort of person who comes alongside you and helps you do that.
Okay. So you basically are the savior. You're able to get the message out, and you attract the right sort of leads or the right sort of clients to yourselves. Is that right?
Yeah, a lot of people that I work with consider me a translator
Mm.
because they often come to me with marketing and copy that talks about what they do and how they do what they do, and it's above the level of their ideal client. So it's not really connecting with the right people in the right way. Their messaging is a little bit off, or they're using maybe technical terms. I know there's a parent educator that I work with pretty extensively, and that was what it was. Is she is 30 years deep in the business and using terminology and things like that that just don't relate to parents, and felt like she had to be really buttoned up and she had to communicate in this special way that she had learned through all
Mm.
her years of education. And it wasn't connecting with her clients. It wasn't creating sales. It wasn't attracting those parents that wanted to buy and invest with her.
Mm. And how did you, I mean, the question here is, the $1 million question is, how did you transition from being an employee into, into self-employment, into being an entrepreneur and being self-employed? I know you had an incentive that was to be with the baby, but how did you, how did you handle the imposter syndrome again? That's imposter syndrome really comes to, it really sort of haunts you when you are starting your entrepreneurial journey. So how did you overcome that?
It was very challenging, and I would say I did a darn bad job at it in the beginning. I would say
Mm.
I've been in business now for just a little over 7 years, and for the first 3 years, I remember just basically operating in a silo. Oftentimes asking myself why no one was responding, why weren't people listening to me? Why wasn't it just taking off? Why didn't people buy? And that's because when you're in corporate sales, you're given a book
Leads.
of people. All your leads are given to you, right? I had 165 people that I was forced to sell to. Great training, have to wear a
Mm.
different hat for every single person, change
Yeah.
your personality, that sort of thing. But when I went out into the online world, I had to learn the hard way
Mm.
that you have to create your clients. You
Mm.
have to establish who you want to work with and what you're doing and the problem and all that sort of thing. So that was really, really hard for me.
Mm.
I thought, like most people do when they first start, that they could do it all, right? I can do it all for you. I can help you with all kinds of different things. And I stayed stuck a lot in learning forever mode, where I
Mm.
kept taking course after course. Like I probably have a book of courses in my last pass that would exceed most people's wildest dreams, because I always thought if I just learn one more skill, it'll work. And that 100% is not what people are
No.
looking for. If I had just focused on one skill, I would have been fine. But I feel like it's given me perspective now, after not being so stressed and after having as continuous book of clients and things like that. I feel like it's given me the opportunity to be empathetic to the people who I work with, right? Because
Mm.
they're often in the same boat. They're experts, they're brilliant, they have a unique zone of genius that they can work inside, and they don't see it because they're constantly stuck thinking they need to overwhelm themselves with tech. They need to do it all fancy and have these amazing things going. And that's really not what anyone's looking for. People are looking for you to solve their problems. So
Yeah.
that's it. It took me a long time to get there though. So I feel like that empathy is really strong within me to understand that people are going to do that, right? You're
Yeah.
afraid of being successful, often than more afraid than failing, far more afraid of being successful.
Yeah. I mean, that's the mindset thing. I think people are more afraid of success than they are of failure. And they think they're afraid of failure, but actually it's not. It's a fear of success, which plays a major part. But that's one of the money blocks they have. But coming back to this idea of, you know, overcoming the imposter syndrome, and realizing that you have a skill set and you have this service you can provide to people, but you don't know how to attract them. So how did you get around that? How did you, you know, put your imposter syndrome to one side and start attracting your clients and saying, look, you know, just come, I can help you? What was the process?
I started with small solutions. I actually started I always laugh about the tiny workshop things that people do. I started doing that as like my first foray into getting high ticket paying clients. I basically went out and I would say, I will do small bits of things for you. I ran people's Facebook ads. It's not my favorite thing to do, but I have
Mm,
done it. It's not something I offer now, but I
mm,
did that to see if I could create results, to see if I could create success. And I got in conversations with people. One of my biggest things that I recommend to people all the time is
mm,
100% of your conversions are going to be people. Unless you're selling to dogs, which you can't talk to who have people as owners, then you're probably going to need to talk to people. So I just got in a lot of conversations with people. I shared a lot of my expertise in online social media groups so that people got a taste and a flavor for
mm,
who I was, and I got exposure. And people started to recognize me and my name. And then basically those conversations turned into very big listening exercises for me of exactly what they were looking for. And there were a lot of people who said, I just need to connect, you know, the opt-in to the offer. And that's where I come in now. But back in the day, I was helping people just do email sequences, just design sales pages, just do small projects to win their favor, win their trust, that sort of thing. Because originally I didn't understand how to take someone from the beginning stages of your opt-in through an email sequence to an offer, that sort of thing. I didn't understand funnels, even though I'd worked with them my whole life in sales. A sales funnel in the real business to business world is a lot different than a sales funnel inside of online marketing. And so
mm,
it had to be something that I learned and built out as a unique process. But a lot of what people get afraid of with funnels, right, is that it's complicated and it's all this tech you have to connect and things like that. People don't realize that every single interaction you have is top of funnel. And then eventually that person becomes someone who wants to get to know you better and they need to have an access point. And most people aren't offering enough of those times to work with you. So that's what I did. I stumbled into little offers and those turned into conversations afterwards where clients wanted to work with me and wanted to do something bigger.
mm. I think that this is the key, having conversations. But I suppose coming back to this idea, a lot of the times, you know, if you are not confident in your ability, then you will avoid those conversations. But without the conversations, you can't have sales. So this is where we have to work on ourselves. And I always say, and you know, strategy is 20%, 80% mindset, and this is regardless of what area of business you're going in, because you have to have the confidence to be able to talk to people and know that you can provide even small, as you said, we started off small solutions, because you can always build from that, from those successes. But it's about having the ability to recognize what small way you can help your clients. Now, I know that you work with women entrepreneurs. What's the biggest barrier you think, or what's the biggest mindset shift that your clients need to have to go from 6 figures to 7 figures and beyond? What do you see as the biggest barrier for them?
They have to separate themselves from their business a lot of times, a little bit, right? Most of us have this preconceived notion that we have to be holding our clients' hands the entire time, and it has to be a unique solution every single time.
Mm,
And there's processes and systems inside what you do, but it's very hard for you to see when you're in the weeds of it. When you're working with individual clients one to one, and you are doing high ticket, right? And you've got larger containers where they're paying you well, but you think that you have to do everything all the time. It has to involve you. So
mm,
systematizing, streamlining, pulling out those, like teasing out those things where you can let them on their own achieve those accomplishments and then come to you and work, forward. I always laugh because part of writing a sales page has always been a training that I've given to my clients so they understand how to write a sales page and then we would do it together. Now they do it often all on their own. The entire thing is written, and I just swoop in and help them with the edits and the verbiage and the messaging and things like that. It's something I sincerely believed I had to do with them one to one all the time. And I
mm,
think that That's a really simple example, but most of my clients need to understand that they need to step away from the areas where that's not their zone of brilliance. Their zone
Mm,
of brilliance is what they should be doing on a regular basis that creates those big leaps for people. And in
mm,
order to get closer to that zone of brilliance, they need to let go of some of the maybe their day-to-day social media stuff that they hate. The
mm,
other stuff is no matter how much money people are making, most of them still believe that sales is a dirty word, and
mm.
it's not.
No,
It's
it's
it's an
not.
energetic exchange, right? It's a way to give someone a solution and collapse time and help them and support them. And
Hmm.
for the case of me, right, spent so much money and wasted money learning hard lessons that I
Hmm.
can help them not have to do in order to create the success that they deserve. And
Mm.
that's a big shift, right? Getting comfortable with being confident and offering your services tends to really hit them hard at each level, but I
Mm.
find going from 6 to 7 figures, a lot of my clients really start to doubt that their worth is that high, and
Mm.
it is. It's like when people win the lottery and then they blow all the money, right? They start edging into that seven-figure mark, and they start thinking of ways to sabotage.
Mm. That's actually very, very true, isn't it? Very true. I'm just thinking out loud. A lot of the times we don't realize how much we are involved in our business and how much we need to pull away because I think this is an element of fear. If I let go, especially when it's your baby, it's your business, and I think and I know for you're from the corporate background and I'm from the corporate background, in the corporate world, we're used to doing everything ourselves. We may have secretaries, or because obviously, I come from the legal world and we do have secretaries, PAs, but they do most of the actual work is done by us ourselves, which we get paid for. So when you become an entrepreneur, it's a different category altogether. You have to delegate and have to learn to delegate. And without delegating, we can't grow. We can't go beyond six figures. It's very difficult to go beyond six figures, and having the right people in place is also difficult. I find personally that finding the right people to do the work has been more challenging, the actual delegation part, but that's my personal experience. Maybe because I'm used to giving work out to PAs, paralegals, and so forth, but still I found that more challenging. Going back to this idea, when did you decide that for example, before you're working with everyone and everyone, now when you open the conversation, you specifically said, I work with women who are making six figures or above. When did you choose that, okay, I'm going to work with this category of people, I'm going to work with these sort of clientele? When did that come about?
The people that I work with now, the reason why I define them the way that I do is because I am a very high touch service
Mm,
and they need to have enough success behind them and a proven results framework that they can use, even if they haven't self defined it, right? Because sometimes they just haven't. Sometimes they're just like, I know I'm creating these successes and it's going really great. It's pretty easy. It's an evil thing to say, but it's pretty easy to get to six figures.
mm,
It's hard to go beyond that. That's the next level, right? So the
mm,
reason why I started to work with these particular women was because I was so surprised with the clients I was working with that they were making lots of money, but they had disorganizations. I was getting into the back ends of like their learning management service. I was finding out that they didn't have any sort of evergreen nurture sequences in their emails or anything going on to support their business and give them lifestyle freedom. They were working more than they ever had in a job. And
mm,
absolutely, you're passionate about it. You love it. This is your baby. This is your thing. These clients are, the people you want to work with. It's all wonderful, but it still will burn you out, just like our corporate jobs do. So I was looking from behind the scenes forward and speaking to these people and saying, like, it doesn't have to be like this.
mm,
There's a better way. And that's why I defined it the way I do. One, because financially, it's affordable for them to work with me. I really can make a huge difference. So there's a lopsided value equation, which we all love to see. And two, because they need it. In
mm,
order to move up, they're not going to get there without someone to support them. And it's that relinquishing of control, like you say. they need an ally to come alongside them because they're afraid of the unqualified virtual assistant, or they've been working with a social media person that's just getting the job done, but it's not really serving its purpose, right? It's not creating the abundance that they're looking for. And so they need trusted people, which is great. I've spent a long time in the trenches meeting some really great people that I can then support them with in that nature as well. So that's one of the things that I recently brought on was I have a virtual assistant who's specifically trained to provide that kind of service such that it's not like they have to train them, right? It's not like they have to walk them through everything that they need done. We collaboratively work together and we all get the job done together. And they get to, one of my clients just recently told me, I said, what difference did this make for you when I did this thing for you? And she's like, oh my gosh, I've never spent a weekend with my kids, not thinking about my business, not saying, oh, mommy's got to this, mommy's got to that. She actually, my little dog in the back, sorry. She actually was able to spend time with her kids and family and just completely drop the thought of work and just enjoy and relax.
Now that's interesting as well, isn't it? I think as a small business owners, we have this idea that we need to be constantly doing things, or we feel guilty about not working. And if you're a working mom, then you feel guilty about not spending time with your kids, and it becomes a vicious cycle. So when you're with the kids, you're thinking about work. When you're with work, you're thinking about kids, and it's just, yeah, I know, I know the feeling.
It's equating your productivity with your value.
Yeah,
it's similar to like if you're there's a great girl on TikTok that I love called Casey Davis, and she says keeping a clean house is morally neutral. And the same thing with productivity. Your productivity does not equate to your value. Productivity is morally neutral, right? It's great. We have to do stuff. We have to get stuff done. Absolutely. But thinking that in order to be valuable to society and to life, that you have to be productive, that's a scam. That's what you've been taught by the corporate world. And that's what they want you to believe. And it's not true. You need creative time. You need breaks. You need your brain to stop functioning and to just enjoy the sunshine every now and then. And you need people in your life that help you do that, because you will make more money doing that.
Wonderful. And on that note, we're going to wrap this up. So Dorothy, tell us, how can we actually, no, let's do a final thoughts. What are your final thoughts to women? Because I think this is an important discussion. We'll carry on Money Talkies, but what would you recommend to someone who is, who is currently, working 7 days a week and is working longer hours now in her business than she was when she was, in a corporate employment job? But she did this work, started this profession to be around the kids and to have time freedom. Yet she has neither. What would your advice be to someone like that?
There's help. Get help. Talk to someone and get them to help you build out systems. This is what the people who are making a lot more money are doing, and it's the mindset you need to adapt. You need to become the CEO of your business rather than the employee of your business.
Wonderful. So tell us, Dorothy, how can we connect with you? Where can we find you on the internet?
You can find me at my website at dorothyvilleneuve.com. Hopefully that'll be in the show notes, because that's a last name. And then I'm also at Dorothy Villeneuve Coaching on Instagram most often. And then if you're hanging out on Facebook and you want to be part of a really fun community, the Wildly Confident Sales Facebook page will take you to my Wildly Confident Sales private community group. So those are the three areas where I'm easiest to find.
Wonderful. So if you are listening to us on the podcast, then all the links that Dorothy's just mentioned will be on the show notes. And if you're watching us on YouTube, then down below in the description section, once again, we'll have the links for Dorothy. Go check her out. She sounds amazing. And then see if she can help you with your sales. Well, thank you so much, Dorothy, for such an amazing and open discussion. We have to have you back on Money Talkies, but for today, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening to me and Dorothy today on Friday Feature. I will be back with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.